Today we're going to talk about telemetry, and for today's demonstration I've decided to use a GR12L because it requires one extra step to activate the telemetry functions. The GR16, 24, and other receivers have a dedicated telemetry port near the transmitter antenna, but on the GR12L we'll have to use channel 5. In order to use channel 5 we will have to change the settings on channel 5. So let's start there. Let's go to the base menu. Let's go to Telemetry and Setting and Data View. Now on this screen you can see that there is a line that says Sensor at Channel 5 and it says no. Okay? If I go back, and I'll stay here again, we'll look at our sensors. We currently have just the receiver as a telemetry device. Nothing else is turned on. Okay? I do have a Vario plugged into channel 5, but it's not active because it's not turned on just yet. So I'm going to go to Setting and Data View again. I'm going to increase down to the Sensor at channel 5 function and press the Set button. Now it's white. I'm going to use increase or decrease to change it to yes and press Set again. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to the sensor function, and we still haven't got an altimeter reading in there yet. So we're going to have to go back and rebind the GR12. So I'm going back, going to transmitter control. I'm going to turn off the RF. I'm going to touch the bind function. It is off, and we're going to rebind the GR12 with channel 5 set as sensor on. Here we go. 1001, 1002, 1003, binding. Alright, so we have the bind. Let's go back and back. Let's go to telemetry and go to sensors. And now you'll see the altimeter sensor is on and the receiver sensor is on. And we'll go back. And now we have telemetry functions. So I'm going to go to the home screen and look at the screen for right now. So we're looking at the graphics screen of the receiver, and we're still waiting for the altimeter to come up. This display is not very useful in the sun, so we are going to change the display to the boxes. That's done in the system menu under display, and we're going to turn outdoor display back on. We'll go back, and now we're going to go to the telemetry screen. This is much easier to see outside. Okay, if I click next, now you see I have an altimeter and altimeter information. So we're going back. So let's go back to telemetry one more time. So once we've got telemetry function, we can do things like set up voice triggers. So I'm going to talk about voice triggers. Now when you go to the voice trigger screen, you see all the modules that potentially can send you information back. If you had a GPS module, this button would work. Our electric module, this button will work, and this button would work. Now I went back and I did the receiver, and you can see the alarms. So let's take a look at the receiver. So at the receiver we've got the ability to put a temperature alarm on, a strength alarm on, a receiver voltage alarm, and a low voltage alarm. So I'm just going to take the temperature off, I'm going to take the strength up, and I'm going to leave the receiver voltage on. Alright, let's take a look at our altimeter module. That is our Vario. Okay, it has the ability to report maximum altitude, minimum altitude, and current altitude. So let's turn on altitude. Let's go back. Let's look at the transmitter. Let's see, we've got the ability to do transmitter voltage, model time, battery time, timer 2, and current time. I'm going to turn off everything but transmitter voltage. So you can go to each one of these devices and turn on and off the voice alerts. Okay? The next thing to get them to function is you have to assign some switches to get them to function. So the first switch I'm going to assign is this one here. I'm going to move switch number 2. And I'm going to say I want this switch to be on at that position. So if I push the switch, I have no volume. Maybe I've got it turned down. Alrighty.
Altitude 0 feet.
So each time I hit the switch,
Transmitter voltage 4.0
it changes
volt.
to the next value.
Receiver voltage 5.4 volt. Altitude 0 feet.
Alright, so that's our trigger. Now let's say we'd like to have an automatic repeat function. So let's go here. We'll use switch 2 again, but we'll use this position
Altitude 0 feet.
and go back. Alright, so now we've got a trigger where we can change, and we have a repeat. Now the repeat repeats the last value.
0 feet.
So altitude 0 feet. How frequently it repeats is done by... There we go. Let's let it go.
Altitude 0 feet. Altitude 0 feet.
So in the center position, it's turned off. Pushing the switch towards me.
Transmitter voltage 4.0 volt. Receiver voltage 5.4 volt.
So each time I flip the switch, we get a different value. Okay, so that's setting up the triggers for the voice triggers. We also have another altimeter function over here, and this has to do with the vario function. So I'm going to touch this one, and I'm just going to flip switch number 5 right here, just for fun. And I'll put it on in this position. Alright, so right now we don't hear any vario tone. When I flip the switch on, you're going to hear the vario. Listen to the vario. So, as we change altitude, the vario will go up or down depending on whether we're climbing or falling. Okay, so we have that vario on constantly. Having it beep constantly might be a little bit aggravating if you don't want to hear it. That's why we put it on a switch. We can turn it off, and now the vario tone is muted. So going over what we've done, we set up a switch to turn on and off the vario tone at this position. We set up a switch in this position to trigger each of the necessary voice alerts. We set up a switch in this position to set the repeat time to 2 seconds and repeat each time it's on. The switch in the center position turns it off, so it's not on at all. I'm going to switch it back on.
Receiver voltage 5.4 volt.
And then every 2 seconds it'll repeat that.
Receiver voltage 5.4 volt.
Okay, that's setting up voice alerts and setting up switches for voice alerts and setting up the telemetry.